I want to start right here. Carlos Rodon had some very interesting comments, and I think a lot of people were immediately triggered and wanting to crush Carlos Rodon. Not only does he not stay with the San Francisco Giants, I don't even think the Giants offered him anything. They gave him a qualifying offer so that they can get a draft compensation pick, but he ends up going to the New York Yankees. Now, let's take a step back. I want you to just left-handed power pitchers in the game. It's a short list.
Yeah.
It's a very short list. Now let's go left-handed power pitchers in the history of San Francisco Giants. That's a short list, too.
Yes, even shorter.
Like Madison Bumgarner is not a power pitcher.
No.
Right? You know.
Yes.
Like he's more of a slinger. I mean, not that he was a Kirk Reeder soft tossing lefty, but I wouldn't categorize him as a power lefty.
No. He used his fastball off of his off speed.
And the slurve and the curve
Yes.
and he would just throw for days. Very Andy Pettit like, even though they were very different in terms of their pitch makeup and things like that. Point that I'm going at here is Carlos Rodon put together one of the most fun pitching seasons. If you watched the Giants last year, he was dynamic on the mound. The raw numbers, whether it's the walkouts to strikeout ratio, whether it's his ERA, whether it's the hits, all of that, whip, whatever you like. The advanced data, it tells you he had a monster season.
Right.
And then the watchability factor. He's super fired up. He gets angry. He's juiced on the mound. Watching a guy blow a hundo is exciting, especially from the left-handed side. He was one of the most exciting pitchers since Tim Lincecum.
Yeah.
Now, I know we all love Madison Bumgarner and Matt Cain. They weren't exciting in the way that Rodon was exciting. I'm dicing here, but he was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing that you're separating, because you didn't say Brian Wilson, but I do think it's important to separate starting pitchers from closers. Closers just have a completely different mentality. You're going to get that from a lot of different closers.
100%.
But as a starter, a lot of times, okay, I got to pace myself. I got to be even keel. And sometimes you do want that more fired up guy. I mean, Shasky, I'm thinking right here, and I know we're going to get into Rodon's comments, but I'm wondering, just based on his personality, when we talk about maybe some people aren't really jiving with Gabe Kapler, that's a guy I could see. Hey, can we get fired up at least one time? You know, Carlos Rodon going to Gabe Kapler. Can we not be a robot for 2 seconds? And maybe that didn't clash very well.
Well, there were, I think, were there two different incidences where he exploded in the dugout, or was it just the one where he grabbed the bat and slammed it down, and then it ended up ricocheting and hitting someone?
Yeah, there's the one time where he kicked
Arizona.
in Arizona, he was frustrated, he walked off, he kicked the bat, and it hit, I think, Estrada.
Yes.
And to be honest, I think
Tony's laughing, and I'm with him on this one. It's funny.
People blew that one out of proportion.
Mark thought, you don't do that in the clubhouse. You don't do that in the. It's like, Mark, you ever been around high-level athletes? Sometimes they lose their mind.
He kicked, have you ever seen a guy beat up a water cooler? Brian Wilson did it all the time, and we thought it was adorable because he had a beard. Come on.
Carlos Zambrano.
I love Zambrano. Hey, he switch hitter. Could hit from both sides of the plate. I guess where I'm going at, and I'm going to read you the quote. Now, remove the emotion of being triggered as a Giants fan. All right? Just remove the emotion. And I want to break this down because I find this interesting. And it's not necessarily a baseball topic that we're going to talk about. This is a sports Bay Area topic. I'm a Bay Area native. You're a Bay Area native. Majority of the people listening are probably Bay Area natives. And I want your opinion today. Here's what Rodon said. The fans in New York want to win. They care. They care a lot, he said, in putting them in contrast with those on the West Coast. Giants fans are invested, but not like in New York. Win or lose, you're not going to get booed in San Francisco. That's what Rodon said. And it's a bold statement for him to make. Now, I get it. He's with his new team. He's going to endear himself to those fans. All right? So let's call things out the way they are. Alan, I'll raise my hand. I am a crazy, passionate, live and die by my team's Bay Area sports fan.
Okay.
I personally think that we're underrepresented. People like myself. I think there's so many more than what we give the Bay Area credit for. I actually think there are a lot of diehard fans. But maybe I'm missing the mark here. Maybe I'm way off, and I would like your perspective, and I want to hear from people. 888-957-9570.
I don't think that there's one way to fan.
No,
and I think
I agree with that.
And I think that the situation with Carlos Rodon, I think the Giants were just collateral damage.
Yes.
I think that he was only here for 1 year, right? And this is just the most recent team that he's been with. So he's quote unquote comparing the Giants to the Yankees, but it's not really Giants and Yankees. It's really honestly anybody versus the Yankees. I know the Phillies, they boo. I would say Boston probably boos.
Forget the boo part.
Yeah.
The boo part. I want to ask you about the passion part. When I bring up the 49ers, okay?
Sure.
There's this concept I have, fanned with, okay? Fanned with. It's the amount of energy that you can give to any of your teams at any given time. And as you get older and you have families and you got a chaotic, work, personal life, sometimes you redirect some of your fan with from the Niners to the Warriors to the Giants. And I don't expect all three to be fully charged at all times, right? So for the 49ers, if we talk about the 49ers, there's a fervor, there's a sense of urgency, whether it's the coverage of the media, whether it's the fans, whether it's people going to the games. The way we talk about the 49ers, they're on the precipice. They gotta win a Super Bowl, right? There's this passion. You can feel it. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
You did postgame this year for the Niners.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, everybody is raring to go to get this number 6.
Exactly. Now, if I were to just peel it back 6 years ago, no one cared about the Niners. No one cared. I remember tweeting at the end of Chip Kelly games, week 15, week 16. Nobody cared about the 49ers. You're still watching that? That's what people would say to me. Now, I know these things are cyclical. Sports are cyclical. But I still believe the Niner passion is fully cranked to the fullest.
Okay.
The Warrior passion feels pretty cranked, high as can be. Now, is it as high as it was, during the 2016 season or the 2018 season? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it does feel like there's a majority of Warrior fans that get this sense of we've got to maximize the now.
This is it.
But there's also a sense of people saying, we did win 4. This has been a pretty damn good run.
Right.
So there's some perspective there.
Yeah. And for the people that have been Warrior fans from back in the day, that is the perspective that they have because they know if you think these times are dark, the times before Steph Curry got here and the crew, that was the real dark ages. And I think some of that is the same in terms of the Giants. How much more runway? The Giants are finally running out of runway for the 3 and 5 years.
I agree with you.
They're finally running out of runway.
But Alan, if I were to say to any Bay Area sports fan, it's 2014. Harbaugh's on his way out the door. Everybody hates the San Francisco 49ers and what they've done and whatever, right? Whatever your opinion was at that time. The Warriors had not become the Warriors of now. No, we were excited and wow, look what they did against the Clippers, and they're right there. Like they're going to change coaches and they're happy-go-lucky. We're all like plucky little Warrior fans.
Yeah.
The Giants were the kings in this market at that time.
They were.
As big as the Niners were with Harbaugh, and they were big, like the Giants were the kings. And they clearly right now feel like the third team if we were ranking the 3 teams.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah. I would say they're third.
So I guess my question is to people out there, are we as passionate as I believe us to be, or am I wrong here? I think there are passionate San Francisco Giants baseball fans out there. Are there people out there that are fatigued by the owner? Do they not like the direction of the club, meaning Farhan and Gabe Kapler and their brand of baseball? Is it baseball that you've not really, kept along with? Are you out of the loop on baseball? Have you redirected your fan width toward the Niners, toward the Warriors? I believe the Giants, if they can get it right and start humming again, there is a passionate, big fan base out there. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm, seeing it through my microcosm. What do you think?
Well, I think I would really want to know and I know we were still dealing with COVID at the time or, some of COVID, but I would really like to know that 107 game win season, what did those sellouts look like? Because we know they dropped this past year. They weren't very good, but that 107 win game season, how many sellouts?
I don't think attendance is an appropriate microcosm of where a team stands. So, for example, the Warriors, after 5 straight finals appearances, opened a brand new Palace, and then Steph and Clay were hurt, and you couldn't give tickets away. It was a brand new stadium. Not like 2 years old, not even 3 or 4 years old. Brand new. 15-win season. You couldn't give tickets away.
Yeah,
so I don't think attendance is fair.
But basketball is a little different. That is so star-driven that...
You want to see Draymond? Draymond's not one of the all-time stars in Warrior history?
Not at those prices. I'm sorry.
I had friends that had season tickets who couldn't give
Yeah.
Warrior tickets away during the 15-win season.
That's wild.
But that to me, I think, is the cyclical nature of where we're at. Now, me personally, I don't think attendance is fair because there are infinitely more people who watch on television than ever go to games.
Sure.
There are people that are diehard Niners, Giants, Warrior fans who have never been to any one of those games. So I don't believe, and the prices are a factor. I believe that you're right in terms of pricing people out. But like, it's a television show.
Yeah.
It's not an in-game. Like, I love going to games, but the majority of people have kids and life and work tomorrow and this and that, and they don't want to go to games. They want to sit on their couch.
If we were making a pie chart, I think that everything gets some of the pie that you just stated, whether it's just baseball in general, the Giants, the fan width, all of those things I would put in the pie chart because of and I hate to go back because I know I've continued to say this, but continuing to go back to just the length of the season, when you talk about fan width, you're going to go with the priority is going to be in the order of what is the most urgent. Football is the most urgent. What's second most urgent? Basketball, length of schedule.
Yeah.
And then lastly, you have the Giants. Look, when the Giants get rolling and it's time for the playoffs, I do think you walk into your office building or whatever and the water cooler talk is about the Giants. I don't ever think that'll fade, but throughout the course of the season, the Giants get talked about the least. It's a weird situation to where Major League Baseball playoffs are still, we were talking about this last night, still very relevant. And when your team is in it, it's America's pastime and it's very fun to watch. But throughout the course of the season, there's just not enough time. There's too much going on to talk about game 62 of a 162 game season.
So let me ask you this, right? I got like Chicago, LA, New York, Boston. Are we saying that this market is less passionate about their fans? Because Rodon's coming out and saying that, and I don't think he's wrong to a degree. I do think that we have other things going on. Like yesterday was a great example. It's President's Day.
Yeah.
Half the country snowed in. You can't do anything in half the country, right? Maybe more than half the country.
Yeah.
You know what I was doing yesterday? I drove from beautiful Russian River down to San Francisco, went to Little League practice, and played until the sun came down. And it was amazing.
Right.
It was amazing. All right? So maybe we have other things that we can do. You can walk on the beach. You can go for a hike. You can, take a jaunt up to Tahoe, for example. I know a lot of people went to Tahoe
Just
this
enjoy
weekend.
being outside. They cannot do that.
Exactly. So maybe that factors into it. But am I missing the mark? Because I know I'm passionate and I'm crazy. Maybe I'm the unicorn.
I don't know that there are, if you're asking me, are there as many Joe Shaskys in San Francisco as they are in Chicago or Boston or New York or Philly? No, I don't think so. And to be honest with you.
You don't think there are?
No, and I don't know how close it is. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest.
No, that's why I want to hear it.
From being out there, I don't think that there are as many craze fans that live and breathe every sport. I think they pick and choose.
Well, that's fan width.
Yeah.
So you think it's kind of like a moving target.
Yeah.
I mean, like right now, it's been 30 years since the Niners won a Super Bowl. My appetite for them to win a Super Bowl feels as hungry as it's ever been.
Right.
And they've been on the doorstep. They've been to 6 NFC championship games, and they can't knock it down. The Warriors have been in the mix, and we all kind of know the sand's coming out of the hourglass for Steph Curry.
Right.
But at the same time, they have won 4.
Yeah. And you've been doing this job plenty long enough. Look, I don't have a photographic memory, but we can see some of the text numbers that look familiar to us when they come through the text line or the callers. There are certain people that call in when you start talking Giants. There are certain people that say, can you please stop talking Giants? There are certain people that call in only when you talk Warriors. There are certain people that call in only when you talk Niners.
Yes.
The amount of people that call or text in, not that that's the only barometer, but the amount of people that feel enough passion to call and text in for all 3 of the sports is not that large to me. If it is a hierarchy, the spaces in between each sport are pretty big, no matter what order you go in. I don't think there are as many Joe Shaskys in the West Coast as there are in the East Coast.